Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jumbo Vitowanu. Today we're going to be talking about how the internet really works. Have you ever wondered what happens behind the scenes every time you open a website, tap an app, or you stream a video? In this video, we break down how the internet works and why programming powers nearly everything in our digital world. So you can see on the screen that we have a diagram showing the internet. So if you look at it, we just have like three components: the user, the front end, and the back end. Now, when you talk about the user could be me and it could also be you. So you come to your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, your mobile phone, and you type www.youtube.com to watch this video. So when you make that request, you're going to make the request through either the web app or the mobile app. Now, the web app simply is your browser. Like you go to your browser on your laptop, on your phone, on your desktop, on your tablets. Then you could use Chrome, you could use Safari, you could use Firefox, Mozilla, any browser of your choice. Then you make the request by typing www.youtube.com, or you use the mobile app without typing the www.youtube.com. So if you do all this, something's going to happen. There's going to be a request sent from your phone, from your devices. So when the request is being sent, now from your phone it goes to the web app. But before it gets to the web app, because your web app is not hosted on your phone, it is hosted somewhere on another computer. And that computer is not on your laptop, is not on your phone. It is somewhere around the world. So we call it server. I'm going to explain server in full details in the next slide. So this web app or the mobile app is hosted somewhere around the world. So whenever you make these requests on your phone, there is something we call DNS, which is domain name system. So the DNS is going to convert www.youtube.com to an IP address, which is an octet structure. So it's a combination of number separated by dots. And that is the address. For example, if you are living in Austin, Texas, or you are living in Lagos, Nigeria, that is your address. So the web app also, where it is being hosted, that is where it is being deployed. That server also has an address. So the address is mostly referred to as IP address, Internet Protocol. So when you make this request and you get to this point here, something will happen. If your web app is SPA, single page application, for example, you use React, Vue, or Angular to build it. So the web app is going to make requests to this backend. And how does it make requests? It uses what they call API, Application Programming Interface. So it's a mediator between the front end and the back end. So what is the function of the API? The API enables us to separate the front end from the back end, having the pattern of separation of concern. So you separate the concern of the front end and also the back end. So they are not tightly coupled together. So the front end communicates directly to the back end using the API. And the API is being provided by the back end. So the API is just like the gates of your back end. So the front end communicates directly to the gate, and the API make requests to the server. So this is the server. This server we are talking about here is not where your application is being deployed. We refer to your backend features as server most times. And when the API is being called, then it's raise a command to perform a function on the server. So for example, you want to get your videos. So when you get to YouTube, you want to load all the videos initially. So there's going to be a query sent to the DB, and the query that you are sending this time is called gets. Of course, in the future, I'm going to be talking about this HTTP method. And so the query will go to the database, pull data. When it pull the data will be transformed. The server will send query to the backend using ORM, that is Object Relational Mapper. So the database will return the data in a transformed manner back to the server, and the server will feed it to the API. So the API will send the response back to the web app, and the user will see the list of videos on their web app or on their mobile app. So you can see that a lot happens here. So this web app is deployed somewhere. The mobile app is deployed somewhere. In fact, this backend also is deployed somewhere. You can deploy this web app in the north, and this one could be deployed in the south. This could be deployed in the west, and this one will be deployed in the south. So you can see that the communication here is using the API. The user make a request through their phone, it gets to the web app, and the web app make the request directly to the backend, and the backend serve the front end with the required information. And when they get to this point, the user see what they are actually looking for. For example, in terms of YouTube, the list of videos. Now, a lot happen on the back end, and a lot happen on the front end. For example, this back end is hosted somewhere, and in fact, sometimes you can be in Nigeria and what you be served will be different from what will be served to someone in the US. It can be in the UK and what will be served will be different from someone that is in Canada. So you can see that a lot is being done. So, and one thing you have to understand is that when it comes to the back end, we have different infrastructure, we have different technology being used. And that is when it comes to the DevOps and the cloud computing, whereby you have to host your server somewhere in the cloud. So when you talk about cloud now, you're not talking about the sky. We are only talking about the interconnectivity of um, you know of some devices we refer to as computer that are not locally connected, but now they are connected wirelessly. They are connected using fibers, and this is going to help us to serve us with whatsoever we request for. So far so good that we are connected to the internet. When I talk about internet now, we are connected to a particular a router, and the router is able to connect to a service provider. Yeah, I'm going to explain that in full details soon. So I just want to show you that okay, we have the user making a request through their devices, then you go to either the web app or the mobile app, and the this application are going to make a request to the backend using the API, and the API is going to get the data from the DB and send it back to the web app or the mobile app, and the user will get the response of their request. So we're going to go to the fundamental element of the internet, and these are the essential parts that make the internet to work. All right. So the first one we're going to see here is that we have the servers, right? So we have the servers here, and if you look at the servers, I put it said that the servers store web apps, and data. So the server is just more or less like the computer that is not um, at your front. You understand? So the server is a computer that you are not seeing directly, but is serving you with what you are looking for. If you are a developer, whenever you develop an application on your laptop, we call it local system. So as soon as you carry that application and deploy it, then it becomes public. You understand? So the powerful computer, so the server is the powerful computers that host the contents and applications we use online. When you visit a website or open an app, you are connected to a server somewhere. So it is like a connection between you and another computer somewhere else. So another one is the client. So the client is talking about the devices used to connect to the server. So the client could be your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. It could even be your tablet. You understand? In fact, it can be whatsoever device that can connect directly to the internet. As far as you can connect to the internet, then that's your device becomes a client. So the next one is the router. So when we talk about the router is the direct traffic, right? So they have like digital traffic controllers, making sure your data packet find the fastest and safest routes to their destination. So um, the router is just like the carrier, right? So it's just ensure that your data is being transferred in form of packets, right? So it ensure that your data is being transferred from the server, from this server here to your clients, and also taking your clients the request from your client, it take it to the server, right? So the next thing is the cables or fiber optics. So these are, this one is just like controller, right? That carry your data. But here now is like the physical road. So if I call this one now the bus, then this one will be the road in which the bus will travel to. For example, any vehicle will travel to, right? So the router has like digital traffic controller, but when it comes to the cable is high speed underground and undersea cables that carry data across cities and continents. They move information at nearly the speed of light. So whenever you make any request, the first thing is that it come from your client, then it pass through the router, and the router is going to go through all this fiber, right? So most times you can see some the internet provider in your area trying to pass some wire sometimes. So of course this fiber optics or the cable they pass through, some of them they walk them through the ocean, and yeah, they are the physical route for your internet. And the next one is ISP, which is the internet service providers. So when we talk about the internet service providers, so it connects users and organizations. So what are they? We have something like Starlink, MTN, Glo, Airtel, very soon. So it gives homes and business across to the internet and manage the network that connects you to the world. So you cannot access any information without you having a plan provided by these ISPs, right? So for example, if you are using Starlink, you must subscribe, and from your subscription you can easily connect to the internet and get your information. And the last one here is the data centers. So the data center is where the internet data lives, right? So anything data, that's where it lives. So each building filled with thousands of servers, cooling systems, and security. This is where websites, apps, files, and cloud services are actually stored and processed. So the data center is where everything is stored. So you just have to understand that whenever you make a request, a lot is being done under the hood. So that request you make within milliseconds and you receive the response at an instant, a lot much more, has been done, right? So you have to understand that the request you are making travels thousands of miles, in fact millions of miles, to really get that request back to you, right? So that is all I've brought for you today, right? Thanks for watching, and in our next tutorial we're going to be looking into something much more fascinating. So I just want you to really understand how the internet really works. Thank you.